Hey guys, I'm Dusty Harris.
And I'm Kayla Platt, and we are from Amazing Race Season 33, and this is Pitstop Podcast. Hello, guys, and welcome back to Pitstop Podcast. This is Leg 7 of Amazing Race, Bonifacio. We started in Corte Corsica, and we got to camp, as you saw, right up along that riverside. It was interesting, but it is actually my favorite part because we all got to camp together. We're not like locked behind doors, like in our own hotel rooms. Like we're actually allowed to interact with each other. If you haven't seen the YouTube clip, go check it out. They got a little bit of footage of us at a campfire, all that good stuff. But yeah, man, I was pissed at you. It was
a cold morning
freezing, and let me tell you guys, Ryan and Dusty were like, there were all these wild, were they boars or hogs? I don't know what they were.
Wild pig boars, massive ones, like the size of Volkswagen Beetles, guys. These things were huge, and they're just cruising around in our campsite, and it led to some shenanigans on Ryan and I's part.
Okay, so we all got to set up our tents, and the way that we're set up was, I think it was like Kim and Pin, then me and Raquel, Natalia and Arun, Lulu and Lala, and then Dusty and Ryan. So Dusty and Ryan are like kind of on the far end, closest to Lulu and Lala. And y'all, it was so cold that like, I don't know, I took some melatonin and tried to like knock myself out to get some sleep. I know Kim and Pin did too, but we get woken up to like Kim doing her mom voice, like, boys, this is not cool, like, no more. And I was like, ooh, someone's in trouble. And lo and behold, it's Dusty and Ryan are acting like these wild boars trying to get into Lulu and Lala's tent and scare the living daylights out of them. And
they squealed like the pigs and ran them all off. It was actually a safety precaution for you guys, so you're welcome. And it was funny watching, like, you creep up to Pin's tent, and his feet are basically, he's like, let him poke out and zipped it up around him because he's just too big for the tent. It's the most unbelievable thing ever.
Pretty sure.
It was an interesting, I mean, it was probably one of my favorite parts as well, just because we did get to finally let our hair down and be around each other and not try to kill each other in combat sports of the Amazing Race. And so you get to learn a little bit more about each other. And I feel like the teams that were left, the bond became really strong over these, this time that we got to spend camping. And so I'll tell you, the river at 7 a.m. too is no joke, guys. I was the only fool that decided to jump in and freshen up, and man, the Hardy boys were tucked up tight. It was not good.
I woke up and they're like, oh yeah, Dusty jumped in the river. I was like, what an idiot. Y'all, it was cold. It was so cold. But it kind of felt like freedom. Like I said, we're out in the nature. We're getting to do what we want and like kind of co-mingle, going down to the river, all that good stuff. But good on you for jumping in, but you couldn't pay me to do that. I'll like dip a toe in, but that's about it.
It was immediately regrettable as soon as I got in.
Oh my God. But yeah, so as if we weren't already tight enough, just this cast specifically, because of the 19-month break and kind of going through this pandemic together, we finally get some time to just get to know each other a little bit more at that campfire specifically. And, bond on a once-in-a-lifetime experience that was truly amazing. But with that being said, we got another leg of the race to run. So I guess how was your mindset going into this leg? Because I don't know if you could notice. I think you were actually the one that pointed it out to me. We look exhausted starting this leg. If you truly look at each and every one of us, and granted, yes, we're camping, so maybe Raquel and Lulu and Lala and we don't have our full makeup, which we really didn't do that, but you know what I mean. Like I looked at myself, I was like, whoa, I look tired. Like we're getting into the nitty gritty of this thing. We're like almost halfway through. I'm tired. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling exactly the same way. It's to the point to where we've grinded through all of these legs. In Ryan and I's mind, we're terrified. We've dropped back to the second group at this point. And so it's something new for us to be starting, down. And so it's an interesting feeling. We're concerned that you guys are going to get us at any moment. And you both are such strong teams. Being in the first group is a big benefit. But overall, this leg, I felt like started better, even though we did camp. Like we elaborated on last episode. I mean, the night prior to the prior leg was unbelievably bad. And so I felt like I slept better and got better rest sleeping in a tent with wild boars running around.
That makes one of us.
So mentally, I was definitely in a better position mentally, but physically, I mean, you're drained. The stress of the waiting. And again, thank you, CBS and everyone, for taking care of us through COVID, and we had to do these procedures, but it's starting to wear on, I believe, all of us by now, just the length of time in between legs. And so just the nerves and waiting and what's going to happen, what's coming our way. We've done all of this work to get this far. Are we going home? Are they going to get us? Are we going to mess up? Are we going to get ourselves? And so, yes, beat like a rug by this point. And I think you could see it on all of our faces for sure. It's almost relief more than excitement in the morning. Like, I'm still here. Thank goodness. Let's get this thing over with.
Overwhelming pressure, because I think collectively, in the beginning, everyone's nervous. You don't want to be the first one eliminated. You don't know what to expect, but now we're a little bit more into a routine of what is the amazing race and, how this race is run and what makes you successful, what puts you behind. But you still have that emotion of it's high pressure and there's a lot at stake and you're getting closer and closer every time. And I mean, it wears on you. You have the highest of highs of adrenaline and then like the lowest of lows of like, all right, now you got to wait and do it all over again. Leg 7.
The waiting is the most savage part because it's almost like you're going to your execution. When's the last meal? What is about to happen? So you guys, you're in the first group. You're feeling good. I'm watching from a far distance as you guys are hitting the starting mat with a feeling of dread in my stomach to get the day going. So how does it feel?
It feels awesome because one, not only are we in the first group, but we are in the first group with Kim and Penn, who just came out of a leg of winning. So we know that they're a strong team. And then on top of it, we, again, just camped. So I would like to have a little bit of emphasis on this is we had more time to spend with these teams. So we had a bond with them. We're starting first place with first round to be released with the team that we felt a bond with. We literally looked at them as like truly our race, like mom and dad. I look up to them. I respect them. I think they're hysterical. I was feeling great. And so really just diving right into it, going into it, we have to drive to Tour de Fateau, to eat this cheese. So without wasting any time, I was like, we got to know again about Kim and Penn and about you guys and whatever. We learned that Penn spoke French. So that was a no-brainer for us. Again, like this race is get to the finale, and our motive starting this leg or our plan essentially was let's use the strengths or like the resources that are being handed to us by being released with this team. And if he speaks French and we have to drive ourselves and get directions, I personally think we would be idiots not to follow them, And again, we respect them and we had such a good bond with them that, I wanted to keep them in eyesight. And I don't know, that was a no-brainer for us was because I remember I was watching it with my dad and my dad was like, why didn't you guys pull out? And I go, look, the man speaks French. Why would I drive off ahead potentially to get lost when I know I can try and, move forward in the challenge part? Like, guys, this self-drive is no joke. And after our experience in Scotland, me and Raquel wanted to build off of where did we go wrong? And that was we were very stressed out in Glasgow when we had to drive for the first time. So this self-drive was the biggest hurdle for us this race, like up until this point. And so any area where we can relieve some stress, we're going to do that because it gets us in a good mental headspace to get to your detour, to get to your roadblock. So I was like, let's follow them. Let's use his French to our abilities. And he was happy to help, like we have a bond with them at this point.
As as a competitor, and if we switched roles and we went off first in the group, Ryan and I would have done exactly
you guys
the same
followed
thing.
Spencer and Anthony, or they followed you in Glasgow. It's like, again, the self-drive, you getting lost you're going home. I mean,
guys, we drove the whole east coast of this island,
beautiful.
and this island is no joke. It is massive. I can't believe I didn't even heard
That's
of
what
it
I loved about
nuts.
this race was never heard of Corte Corsica, never heard of Bonifacio. But yeah, so that was, again, I was feeling calm because we were going into the first heat. We're with a strong team that we have a good relationship with. You guys are starting off behind of us. It gives us at least 15 minutes, whether some people here listening agree with that or don't agree with the fact that that's a lot of time or not a lot of time. We were feeling great. And so, yeah, that was our mindset going into today or that day. But now, so this is your first time leaving in the second group. So where's your head at? How are you guys feeling?
I think from the leg prior and coughing up first group, we're concerned. And at this point, we've performed rather well. And so we knew a target was on our back. And as Penn stated, people were getting tired of us getting one or two. And Penn, I wasn't getting tired of it, just so you know. And so you lose that first group. Guys, these guys, and so it's 2-on-4 now. They're smart. This is a brilliant move. Stay ahead of the boys. If you can stick together, 4 heads are going to get you there to 2. It's gut-wrenching to watch on Ryan and I's side, but honestly, we would have done exactly the same thing. At this point of the race, it's, winning is great, winning legs, but it's trying to punch the ticket to the finale, and you got to stay in the top 3, top 4 to do that and give yourself the opportunity at the money. And so my hat's off to you guys. It makes me so angry watching it. It was just, we always thought, we're going to catch up, but we just never could overcome it, this leg. And so, but we felt good going into it. We were happy. Ryan and I are 2 peas in a pod in the wilderness. That's the kind of things that we do constantly. This was laid out beautiful for us, but I think everyone had a great time. And it was a little bit uplifting for us to get to hang out a bit to kick this leg off. And so I felt good. The drive there, the beautiful convertibles driving to go eat this nastiness that's on its way was a breath of fresh air as well. And guys, it was a haul, the whole East Coast. And so Penn having the ability to talk and get directions and truly get them, it was hard communicating on our end, man. It's either they didn't really want to talk to us or they weren't able to talk to us very well, but we made it, behind you guys. So what's your thought when you run up this gigantic, cliff to this lighthouse thing and this guy opens up the cheese?
So we arrive at Tour de Fateau and I knew we were going to have to eat something. And again, I'm a fan of the show. I know this is not about to be something pleasant that we're going to eat. So you even hear me in the car saying, let's follow them there. And then we need to get ahead of them on the challenge. And what I meant by that is I said in the very beginning, I told everyone, I was like, if it's something eating, Raquel's going to do it. If it's something eating, Raquel's going to do it. And I knew at this point we both were going to have to do it. So I was and only one team can eat the cheese at a time. So it wasn't like I was trying to burn Kim and Pin in that moment. I was just like, Raquel, I am very worried I'm not going to be able to eat this, or it's going to take me a long time. So when we get there, we are hauling butt. I want to be the first one to eat the cheese, so we have the time to finish it first, and then they have to go. And then you do see that we wait on them. But I put this cheese in my mouth. Well, one, I was like, are those moving? Okay. I was like, okay, they got bugs in it. Not a big deal. They're surely dead. No, I see them moving. And I look off into the distance. You see me walking around, kind of staring off. I was already about to pre-vomit before I put this cheese in my mouth. And when I do, I don't know if you guys have, I'm sure you guys have, the cinnamon challenge and the saltine or cracker challenge. It was so dry. Forget about the taste. It was so dry. It was so hard to put it down.
Well, not to mention the run to the damn thing. That was no joke getting up there. You see everyone is gassed and then you're dehydrated.
You want some water. I was like, okay, you guys have a wine to pair this with, right? Help me wash this down. He's like, Someone even quoted me online, and you know what? I honestly have to agree with them. It was at Pigs Be Flying. She said, the flight attendants are the reason people in other countries hate Americans. They are literally telling this guy that this product tastes like ass. Believe me, I'm not about to choose to eat maggot cheese, but if I had to, I wouldn't insult it to his face. I did say no offense at the end. Like, this guy, he's not like, oh, try this. It's delicious. It was like, okay, it's a delicacy. It's high protein. Like, he knows going into it that I'm not going to like it. I wasn't trying to offend anybody, but genuinely in that moment, I was overwhelmed with, I can't get this down. It's so gross. So, I mean, not wrong,
Man.
Pigs Be Flying. I never meant to offend anyone. I feel really bad, but I also was like, this is the worst thing I've ever had to do. I can't get this down. So,
guys, it tasted like someone boiled radishes and then strained them through rotten onions and then made some sort of tea out of it and then congealed it. Yeah, and it's alive and it's so pungent and peppery. The thing that I remember most about this leg is just racing around, running, burping this just awful all day long. And we're wearing masks when we're asking for directions, and so it's just burning your face. You're getting this maggot burnness just constantly, and so it was so bad. I remember getting up there with Ryan, and we are so thirsty, and it's this dry bread with this big glob of
you
this.
put the whole thing in your mouth.
I just shoved it in. And it's strange when rewatching it, how many people danced it down. I was just like, I got like a snake kind of working it down the throat muscles to get it down. And we were the same way. We started there, you see Arun, Natalia, and the twins are right there with us. And it's like, we're going to book it up here because we figured it was going to be, we wanted the first crack at whatever it was going to be if it was one at a time. And so that was our game plan.
I think we had the same mindset.
Get up. Yeah, for sure. And so it was awful, but we all got it done. Would I do it again? Absolutely not. And so, but it is what it is. I could have been a lot worse, in my opinion.
Also, we have Ryan who said, wasn't worse than anything I ate in prison. Same food, better view. Like, I was like, wow. I clearly...
Yeah. That's Ryan. Even keeled and positive in all aspects, man. That's why I love him so much. So when we have to run down, you guys you guys do wait for Penn and Kim. I think Penn was a little upset at first, but you redeemed yourself.
I was never gonna leave. I was never gonna leave him. I just was like, I have to get this first. I have to eat this first, which is funny because a lot of people are gonna mention it, and a lot of people are probably thinking it. Well, you didn't wait for Lulu and Lala. You're right. We didn't. However, that specific challenge, and I apologize for not bringing it up on the last podcast, but I didn't do that roadblock, so I didn't understand that was like a big thing. But Raquel had this female guide who was like, come on, you want to go fast? She's like, yeah. And we weren't going into the next thing where we have to self-drive. Now, had it been self-drive and we needed to navigate and stick with someone, we probably absolutely would have waited. So I truly feel terrible about that. But this was a completely different situation. We are self-driving. So again, he got us there. We're going to wait, and I mean, and I don't know, I wouldn't change that. It was, I think throughout this whole thing, we were like, let's be smart, use another team when you can, like, let's team up. Again, 4 are better than 2 at times, but when it comes to challenges, like, we're going to do it on our own. And I think we all collectively had that same mindset. Yeah,
in the heat of competition, you're always going to do that. And so we get down to the detour, and the crazy thing is, we either have row your boat or gently down the stream. You guys had stated, I believe, before you waited for Penn and Kim, that you were going to do row your boat. And so is this kind of the mind frame 4 better than 2 when they came down? How did this decision switch for you guys?
One was still like kind of like gagging this cheese one. I initially was like, okay, like, something physical. Like, granted, can we beat you and Ryan neck and neck with each other? I was a little worried about that. But again, we have a 15-minute lead at this point. So I was like, I'm confident in our physical ability, so I kind of wanted to do row your boat. But then when Penn and Kim came down while we were waiting for them, we're like, okay, we're going to do gently down the stream. Kim had said, like, reassuringly, is like, Penn's great with memory. And again, we have a
You
good
made the right
relationship
choice
with
with who you
them.
had in
They
the
had
stable.
just won first. If we do the same thing with them, it gives us another opportunity to stay closer to them, get through this one, and try and beat them in the next one. Where if he's excellent with memory and blows through the memory detour and we're still rowing, now we've just fallen behind them. As much as it looks like we were just pairing up, we really had more strategy behind it. And we're trying to figure out how can we get ahead of them. And we can't get ahead of them if they do super fast on a memory challenge while we're stuck doing something physical. So, I said, I was like, if you guys want to stick all together, I wasn't just going to be like, okay, well, we're doing what you're doing. I asked, I was like, if you guys want to do this all together, we'll do it all together. And so they're like, yeah, let's stick together. So I was like, okay, great.
So real
Works for
quick,
me.
is this in your mind frame? Because Raquel multiple times in the leg is like, this is our day. We're going to win. Were you in your mind when you two are talking, that maybe they didn't show it? Is it, we're taking it, we're going for
100%.
first today? Like
that was the mindset. And I was like,
amazing,
I don't want to create.
I mean, Raquel was ready. Everyone, she was ready. You could see it, man.
Yeah.
She had that look in her eyes, and she's like, "It's moving day."
And again, it was like, if we knew that they were a good team. They've already won first on a physical day. That was leg 6. So let's keep them in our eyesight, and we have to push ourselves, because if it ends in a run at the end, like, I had confidence in us, So that was definitely our mindset of, we want first today. We wanted it so bad, and to possibly fall behind by choosing another detour, we weren't really ready to make that risk yet, because we wanted to keep it as close as we could until the end of that day. And again, I think it was the better choice watching that back, because again, Penn is like basically photographic memory. I mean, the fact that we quickly distributed, okay, well, me and Penn have this side, Raquel and Kim had the other side. And it's funny watching it back, Lulu, Lala, Natalia, and Arun all being like, okay, we're all just going to identify every single fish and remember every single fish and then compare. They figured it out the second go around, but we figured out the first go around. But it was funny because the very first fish we spot, I was like, oh my God, there it is. And Penn was like, oh, it's a blue, da-da-da. And we were laughing so hard because Kim goes, oh yeah, I think he's a little colorblind. I was like, a little? That was not blue. That was purple. So as much
but he's got a mind like
as much as he had
trap.
A great photographic memory, I really don't think we could have done it as quickly as we did it without him. But I also don't know how much he would have struggled with the color part. But I mean, I'll be the first to admit his memory really helped there, because it was also their idea to make a song. We were like, Purple Barney, Yellow Submarine, goes to Duke. Like, we literally had this whole song, which that's what they do for a living. And like, it literally worked. So again, it was such the right call to work with them on that challenge. And I mean, they are just guys, they are a fantastic team. And I think it was the right call, especially watching yours back. This girl Joy on Facebook said the only pair that truly won the fish challenge was Ryan and Dusty. And I actually wholeheartedly agree with that, because I don't think we could have done it that fast with Penn and Kim. I don't think Natalia and Arun, Lulu and Lala would have gotten it done near as fast. And again, it took them twice. I mean, you guys literally flipped over, and those things looked heavy to pull up. I mean, you guys are honestly the only ones that truly did that challenge. So I don't know. Tell me all about it.
Well, I mean, hell, at this point, it's cheese and kayaks every leg now, And so I'm like, the cheese sucked. At least we got through it this time. I didn't have to make anything, so that was great. And I was like, hey, Ryan, the last kayaks we got into, we stormed upstream and, made a move on 2 teams. It can't be that bad. Boy, was I wrong. So the objective was to identify fish, as everyone saw. So we pick old Pinky, and we're like, this one kind of sticks out. And so we have to put our life vests on, and it's a clear kayak so you can see down. And the sides on this thing, guys, are like 4 inches above the water. And so every little splash is getting in. But rowing, not too bad. It's when we get to the buoys to pull the chains.
It looks like tip over because it's so heavy to pull up.
I'm not taking anything away from any other team, but honestly, I just don't know how you could have pulled these in, because, I mean, Ryan has cannons for arms. I could barely get like 2 in. He had to do the rest. And so pulling them me rowing, trying to make us stable. I'm flooding the boat. And actually, we flipped over twice. And so when this boat capsizes, guys, everything we have in it, our clues, the fish, everything drops to the bottom. And it's probably 10 feet down, crystal clear, beautiful water. You couldn't ask for more. And so when we're under that canoe trying to figure out, I'm in sneakers, like it's crazy. And we're like, man, what have we done? We finally figured it out how to get it over. So I'm getting the boat over, getting myself in to stabilize it. Ryan is swimming around on the bottom of the ocean with no goggles, with his eyes open, finding all of our clues and our fish. And so we realized that I'm rowing in the front. Again, it's me in these kayaks just causing havoc, nothing good. I'm flooding the boat. And so it was just take a deep breath. We kind of had a chuckle, and I'll never forget. I look back at him over my shoulder and I go, are we sinking? And I mean, cue the Titanic music. It goes under on the spot. And I mean, but we just, at this point, it could have gotten bad and freaked out, but we just had a good laugh under the kayak. We're like, dude, we can get through this. And so getting it over and finding the 10th fish, rowing in, we see the boat coming in for Arun, Natalia, and the twins. And they're ahead of us. And we're like, man, if they get through this, we're we're the last 3 teams going. And so luckily, unfortunately for you two guys, you didn't get it right. And we did. And so we got to leave. And let me just say, we were covered in so much sand and filth and water. When we got into those little convertibles, I hope they had insurance on it, because it was like standing water on the floorboards. And I was freezing cold driving to the roadblock. I mean, so cold. I was like, Ryan, you may have to drive. But it was a hellacious detour. And I don't know if we would have done better by ourselves on the fish. It probably would have put us in a pickle. But in your position up front, I would have partnered with someone, done the same thing. But again, we're going to take a physical challenge anytime you present it. It wasn't the smoothest of sailing for us, but we got through it and, made our way to this lovely roadblock. And so luckily for me, you guys get there and you're up. It's time to pay the piper, and you're tying some knots. And so I believe it was called Who Wants to Get Knotted Up? You're there, Penn and Kim are there. What's going through your mind when you stretch that net out and have to get this thing tied together?
So before we even get there, I'm exhausted, because when you arrive in park, it's like the dock is shaped like a U, and we were running all around trying to find this clue box, and we literally ran on the opposite side of the U of the dock for them to tell us, oh, it's right over there where we literally had started, all 4 of us. So we're like sprinting up to this thing, exhausted. And yeah, who wants to get knotted up? Again, I need to get some roadblocks under my belt. So I was the one that did it, and Penn said that he was going to do it. And I don't know. I admire both of them, but I admire Penn so much. And I knew this is going to be tough. Like Penn's, I don't know. I was nervous. I will say, for me to do a roadblock, I hadn't done that many. And have to,
this is moving time for
and
you,
have
really.
to do it next to Penn. I was a little intimidated, if I'm being honest, until he put the glasses on, and then I was like, oh, okay.
To balance out us shirtless boys, Penn. Thank you for doing that for everyone.
That was my favorite part of the episode. But no, guys, I had to go and watch this man tie this knot easily 30 times. I would run back and I would immediately forget what he was doing. Finding the hole of the knot was pretty simple for me. Figuring out to put your feet on it was simple too, but just a certain way that I had to tie the knot, it was difficult. I wish I had more to kind of put on it, other than when the day started, it was a little overcast. Like I said, you were freezing getting out of the water. But once we got there, you guys can see the sweat dripping off of Penn's nose in the episode. It was just ungodly hot, and the sun's beating down on you. And again, it's just this overwhelming pressure of, I don't want to let Raquel down. The pressure of these roadblocks and having to have a partner just watch you do it. It's one thing on the roadblock last episode where I can't see what Raquel's doing, but Raquel can see what I'm doing. And she can see every time I'm sprinting over to this, man tying a knot, that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, I didn't get it. I tried to knot. Nope. The knot didn't even tie, and then I was so petrified to do a check because if I got it wrong, you heard Penn say, untangling this thing was so difficult because where you're tying the knots, there's a layer of net on top of it, a layer of net on the bottom, and then you have to do the one in the middle. So everything you're tying, you can't it was difficult. It was difficult. But, and then to see Penn get it before me made me want to shit my pants even more. But then who do we have coming run in? The two gruesome twosome that are honestly, every time you've been behind or every time you show up to a challenge, you blow through it. And so I was like, I am going to be mortified if I've been sitting here trying to tie these knots. I honestly expected Penn to finish before me. So that didn't get me down too much. And by the time he got a check, I'd at least had a knot, maybe two at that point. So I was like, okay, like I think I'm there. I want to take my time and get it right. But then I see Ryan and you come in and I literally had like an oh shit moment. Like, you cannot let them beat you. So that was petrifying.
Man.
But
we were feeling good
but again,
when we saw you guys.
Yeah, so I'm still doing it, but so I guess this is cool because I did the roadblock, you didn't. So how did you feel like running up, seeing that Penn and I were still there? And yeah, Ryan's about to do this roadblock, which obviously Ryan's proved himself even keeled. So how'd you feel?
So when we got there, immediately, I think that, on TV, you see Penn says, "Welcome to hell." And I see the look of distraught on your two faces and sweat just dripping off of you. And so it was a little sweet joy from last episode where I watched all of you guys run by us when we were making cheese. So it was like, oh, we're back in the game. And so at this point, Ryan and I are thinking we have to make a move too to get back in the first group. And at this point, guys, I'm going to beat this to death. That 15 minutes, it's not just getting it, but it's being in the front group because everyone's so good and 15 minutes means the world. And so we get there. I'm standing up there talking with everyone, watching you guys do it. And to see Penn get it, we were just hoping, okay, he got it. Well, that leaves you and Ryan. And so Ryan's an Eagle Scout. I'm feeling very confident about this. Ryan, again, is even killed and won't say anything or show any emotion. And I'm like, dude, you're going to kill this. And he's like, oh, I'm going to have to see it 1,000 times. And so you guys get it done right afterwards. And so, we had a chance, but realistically, if we were there 5 minutes earlier, it could have been a different ball game because Ryan messed up one time and then immediately told me, he looked up and he goes, I got it. And he got it. Right. I mean, it took Ryan 15 minutes to do the challenge. And so I don't know how long it took you guys, but it's, again, that 15 minutes.
If I had to guess, probably double. It probably took us, at least me, I can't speak for Penn. I think it probably took me 30 minutes, honestly.
And so we had the chance to get it done, but you capitalized. You hit the shot. You hit the shot when the buzzer was going down. And if watching it, like, that was our shot. If you would have just messed up one more time, because then after we all get through this, it's this massive foot race, guys. I mean, this thing you had to go up was no joke. And so that would have definitely played in our favor. We were praying to God it was going to be another foot race. And I was just itching at the bit. And so you hear me say when we're leaving, we're blowing through these road. And guys, we are killing these things, but so are they. And it doesn't matter if you do it 5 minutes faster, it still leaves 10 minutes on the board. And so the mad dash up, Penn and Kim hit pay dirt first. So congrats, guys. Another win for you. Raquel, sorry you didn't get it today, but a strong second place finish for you guys. And, we round out 3. Feeling good. I think I said it on the mat. I'm satisfied with that. At this point, it's just survive. I'm exhausted.
Yes. Again, it goes back to us going into the leg, honestly exhausted, and
it was a long day, lots of driving, physicality, lots of running up things. And, the show doesn't do it justice for what's really going on.
And more so physical for you guys, but this was a good mix of mentally exhausting because of the navigation, physically exhausting because it did get hot. You did the row your boat, but it was a lot of running at the end of the day, more mental tying the knots. And it was just the perfect combination of, it was a draining day. But you know what? Team Purple, Team Gray got it done.
Still fighting.
Unfortunately, One team did not, the 9 lives over here. It's funny because watching her do the nets, the one thing I did notice is she's just pulling it out, like with no like carefulness. It's like I was pulling out that net. I mean, it's gonna get tangled. She's like, oh my God, my net's all tangled. I'm like, well, yeah, you're throwing it out of the bucket. But man, do they have 9 lives.
The dice are rolling good for him, man. It's not wins, but it's almost even more satisfying.
Yeah.
Like, how do you keep landing on these legs,
it's
man?
a perfect.
So, I love you guys.
I do too. I genuinely loved them so much. But I mean, just as like, no one. A non-elimination leg is tough to watch, but it's even tougher when you're there and you're giving everything and this team gets saved again. But it's a good segue into a couple of questions we got this week. And that one was from a woman named Mary. She said, is it common to have non-elimination rounds? Are there more non-elimination rounds this season since there weren't as many teams when y'all started back? Spot on. It is. I would say it's not uncommon to have non-elimination rounds. These are determined it's ahead of time. We don't know, but it's already predetermined. It's not like they were like, oh, we want to save Natalya and Arun. But again, you have to go
in. It's weird. A lot of people think that.
Yeah, no, they don't. It's already prearranged, and you see a couple teams couldn't come back from COVID, and so that's unfortunately it's not uncommon. But man, it crushed us a little bit. But at the same time, it's a mindset of, well, we're continuously coming ahead of them. So one more week that they're here, we should feel a sense of safety in a sense.
That's the scary thing about the Amazing Race, though. As soon as you feel that way, the race god will rip your throat out.
Yeah. Woo! But another.
But we said the same thing, Ryan and I were like, man, it's one more team to stay in front of. If it gives us an extra leg to hang out and go gallivant the world together, man, so be it. We just got to stay in front of them.
Exactly.
So I second on that.
But another question from Chris says, when Kim told Raquel and Kayla that Pin would just memorize the order of the fish, how confident were you that he was going to get it right? It looked like you were trying to do it too, and he was like, no, stop talking, I got this. Any skepticism that he had it, ? No, so we were very confident in his memorization abilities. Again, there's no reason why Kim and Pin would lie about his ability to memorize. So again, if I would have had skepticism if it was Kim and Pin on one side and me and Raquel on the other, and we were just trusting that they were memorizing all of them. But that's why you see it's me and Pin on one side, Kim and Raquel on the other. So no, I didn't have any skepticism in that. But once we get there, he literally looked at the cards like within seconds. He's like, oh, it's this one. And at that moment, I did have skepticism because, I wanted to double check. We had made the song. I just wanted to be sure, because if you got it wrong, like you saw with Natalya and Arun and Lulu and Lala, you had to go back on the boat. So, and I didn't want to do that. So I was like, I just want to double check, which is funny because I noticed Lulu and Lala got a check. They said it was wrong. And then Natalya and Arun were just like, okay, let's go back on the boat. But they still had a check that they could have done. At that point, just make a guess on a different sheet, and they could have gotten ahead of Lulu and Lala by a long shot, because it could have just been off by one fish. So that was one thing as a fan. I'm like, at least get a check, like I get Lulu and Lot, you guys were doing it together, but their check was wrong. So maybe try and see. So that was a little interesting to kind of watch, but,
you're not on a swivel at all times. This race will blow over you so fast. Yeah. I mean, if you don't take advantage of every single opportunity, you get saved 3 times on the show. That's what happens. You got to capitalize, guys. Got to capitalize.
But yeah, so I don't know. I know this wasn't exactly a fan favorite because it's another non-elimination and it's a team that got saved again. But I hope you guys can at least see, I know Dusty pointed it out, like the 15 minutes. If it wasn't for the 15 minutes, you guys could have been so in it, and that's scary. So I hope you guys keep that in mind as we go into leg 8. I don't think they've released where we're going. But this was such a competitive group that is left.
This next one is a whopper, guys. It's a good one. I mean, dog fight. You're going to see it all. Yes. Get ready. I can't wait to talk about this next week.
So I hope we're done with the cheese. I hope we're done with the kayaks.
No more cheese. I'm done.
Cheese, please. But no, I mean, I think that wraps it up for this episode. I know there was some confusion on our episode titles. We were going off of the episode of the podcast. We grouped leg 1 and 2 together, but we will be fixing that. So again, this is episode 7, leg 7, Bonifacio. We love doing this, guys. We encourage you to please continue to send your emails. Even if we don't answer them on the podcast, we will get back to you personally with an email. Give us a follow on Instagram, pitstop_podcast_. But yeah, I think that's it. I think we're out.
All righty. We love you guys. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.